Humans are compelled to build things, to be creators, to take their knowledge and their skills to the next level. Hey, I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. You see video games like Minecraft or EVE Online or different video games where you build worlds. And I argue that maybe we ought to try that in the real world. The action response feeling that happens when you build something in a video game or a hobby, or even in an area where you are publishing articles, for example, you'll be known to an audience through what you do, and through that can build other people. But if you're doing it in a game or watching television or being a collector of things that don't really deliver anything other than your personal satisfaction, I believe there's a challenge there. And let me describe it. So if you're like a Star Wars fan, because, may the fourth be with you, you may collect all by yourself and never really talk to anybody. And there's value in that for your personal entertainment. But what does it feel like when you interact with somebody who has similar interests? When you go to a conference or an event and you interact with a larger group or a larger part of a community? Well, you have a sense of feeling, a sense of belonging, a sense of like-mindedness and who you're interacting with. That is a very positive experience in your life. That is a very lifting element, but you would never experience that if you stayed only to collect for yourself, if you stayed only in your own little world. If you're playing Minecraft and you're building a world in Minecraft, a lot of kids today think Minecraft's pretty popular. You're not really building that for anybody other than yourself, for your own entertainment. That action response reinforces the social behavior, the emotional feeling of accomplishment, yet it's nothing in a physical world. Yet if you share that with other people and you play a game with friends, it's a different experience. It's a better experience. And I would argue that in your own community, there are opportunities, especially around your home, to beautify your home, to make it more environmentally friendly, to increase the quality and value of your home, and to do so in such a way that your neighbors benefit, that your community benefits. And a community garden is one such example. If you're going to go out and build something for 10, 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, a couple hours a day, why not build something that yields a result in return? So I'm not saying television or video games are bad, but really, what benefit is it to know all the episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Do you really get anything out of binging a series on Netflix? But a family picnic, a potluck, get-together, or event in your community actually grows both your social relationships, your emotional connections, and gives you a sense of belonging, gives you a sense of being a part of something. So why not find small tasks and projects around your home that will slowly but surely improve your environment, both physical environment in the home and natural environment outside the home, that'll improve the curb appeal to make your home look more appealing to others, to improve your safety by getting repairs taken care of, being aware of your home safety and access to the home, working in the yard as part of an experience. Now, I understand a lot of folks are busy with work and other things, but in work, do you really build something that serves you for a lifetime? Sure, you're gaining experiences and you gain career and opportunity and you earn money, but that income, if not properly invested in things that appreciate in value, well, then you're just on a treadmill. You're on that Fortnite treadmill that Fortnite was a popular game for kids, where people would just go in there and battle every day. And so you're battling out the grind, but you're not really building a character. You're not really building a list of assets or resources that can be used in a larger collective activity. Now, this also applies to wealth. That desire to create and to stack and to build also applies to wealth. If you improve your home, if you improve your community, property values will go up. If you continue to save and invest money wisely, the money will grow. If you plant seeds in the right season, they will multiply. See, that's just how the world works. So really there isn't any good or bad activity except that can you continue to do that activity and it provide for you and your family? Can you continue to do that activity and it builds your social engagements? Can you continue to do that activity and become more capable or gain or improve your ability in something that can help other people? Now, the measure of helping other people is what gives it value. Money itself is just paper without some other person placing intrinsic value in it. You can have a gold bar and other people may complain it's too heavy. You could have a gold bar and other people will appreciate how shiny it is, but otherwise not give any value to it. Or you can have a gold bar in a system or an economic system that actually values that gold as something worthy of trade. Yet in some environments, a potato that you've grown yourself actually may have greater value than the gold itself. A starving man can't eat his gold, but if he has no gold, he may not have the tools or resources or access to seed. It's a quid pro quo in some ways, but it ultimately is, are you getting out more than you're putting in? If you have landscaping and you're doing primarily ornamental landscaping, sure, it's going to be beautiful. But in order to get the beautiful flowers and the trees that are shaped just right, you're creating a huge carbon footprint, then in the long term, that's not a viable solution. If you're using permaculture or other types of ecologically sound methods, you could actually build a garden that encourages beneficial insects, encourages pollinators, it encourages small bird habitat. Small birds tend to eat mosquitoes and other types of bugs. You may, in fact, get into a situation where your local ecosystem, that ecosystem in your zone 1, that closest to your house area, is full of foods, fruits, vegetables. You may even have rabbits or chickens. But you may not even have to go that far in supporting in your community those same types of resources. So that when one day you run into a time of trouble, famine, disease, or civil issues, you can ultimately have somebody to turn to, that community, those people who are there with the same and mutual interests, and those people who quite possibly have improved their own environment where it yields beyond what their needs are. And that really is what Prosperity Homestead is about. Are you applying your attention and resources to things that yield more than you put into it? And this isn't a lazy bit where you get something for nothing. This is a planting the seed in the right season, cultivating that seed, and then growing from the natural patterns an outcome that is far beyond the inflow. And we do this here with composting, with organic recycling, with how we manage brush and even our lawn clippings. All of that goes back into a system to create fertility in the soil, and the fertility in the soil takes a tiny seed and turns it into tomatoes, turns it into potatoes, turns it into all kinds of edible goodness. We also manage our design and the flow in which we move around the property to conserve energy. The energy we use and expend to create the habitat that we live in can be optimized so that you don't have the extra time that is often perceived necessary to maintain a garden or to maintain a landscaping. I was reading some articles about historical education, and very often we think of people in the past not being as educated. They actually had a lot of free time. They had a lot of time for self-reflection and education. And they also had a lot of practical experience. And so for the time period, we find that in colonial times, for example, there was only a 4% illiteracy rate. That means only 4% of the population couldn't read. In modern times, that can be 21% to 40%, depending on where you're located. They had more fresh foods and vegetables that were grown closer to their home. Now, they didn't have a lot of the fancy vegetables and fruits that we have today, but they were able to get food closer to their home, so a flood or a famine didn't quite affect everybody the same way. They also had homes that were generational. So they would build a home and add to it and buy land and acquire property and then pass that down through generations because the land was paid for. It was actually owned other than your property taxes. In the long run, the investment in your fruit trees, your garden areas, and other spaces pays for itself over time. Unfortunately, the consumer culture of buying a new home every year and a half or every 7 years or so, racing from place to place, chasing rather than cultivating those relationships that are necessary to get what you want where you're at. Those often distract from the behaviors, and then we turn to the what's on TV today. What can I do right now to pump a little dopamine? What's going on social media? Rather than what can I invest in my day to produce an outcome far beyond what I put into it? How can I get more from my day? How can I connect with people who are important to me? How can I connect with issues and opportunities in my community so that we can grow, prosper, and all live well and healthy? I'm Justin Hitt from Prosperity Homestead. Please think about that a little bit. If you have any questions, visit www.prosperityhomestead.org, where we talk about ecologically sound ways to live and grow your small farm, homestead, or estate. Thanks for listening.